Hey guys, I just wanted to say a big thank you for coming out and listening to my presentation. So today we're going to be talking about thinking outside of the box, and through this presentation I hope to express the importance of thinking outside the box and how to prevent negative thoughts from hindering your creative thought process. So with our next slide, sorry, it takes a while to upload. It's just going to be a question for you guys. So there are 6 eggs in a basket. 6 people each take one of those eggs. How can it be that there's still 1 egg in the basket? Take some time, think about it. And then, yes, Emery.
Did they take an egg and then put it back?
That is a good thought. That could be correct. But what I have written down is the last person took the basket with the egg inside. So that's how there can still be 1 egg left in the basket. Does that make sense? So I didn't honestly understand this until I saw the answer. But so I'm also going to be talking about what we learned in our early childhood education. So one of the things that we learned in our early childhood education was to eliminate the incorrect paths. So if you're anything like me, I always felt as though I was never creative in my thought process until college. And this is when my professors started to make me think of why things happened the way they did, not just what's the answer. And this is what we kind of learned in our early childhood education, was just give us the solution. Don't really worry about the why or the how. 2, follow a logical argument. We were taught to think there's only one way to find a solution to a problem. We weren't taught how to think for ourselves or how to think outside the box. Now in college, many professors challenge our thought process, and we don't always know the proper answer or feel as though our answers would be correct. And sometimes this is just because our early childhood teachers just wanted us to just think one way. And sometimes you just don't want to share your crazy brainstorming ideas with the rest of the class because you feel as if people are going to judge you for it. And 2, we have a sense of failure if a mistake was made. So if we had a creative process or a creative thought and we said it out loud and people made fun of us, we were kind of shut down and put back. And we didn't really want to share the creative process with everybody. So this kind of made us not want to be as creative as we were when we were children. Why should you start thinking creatively? Thinking creatively is not a luxury, it's a necessity. The one thing that makes us different from other species is our capability to think and create with purpose. We think all the time. We think when we're in the shower, we think in our dreams, and this means we have the capability to think and evolve. We need to think with a purpose, not just for convenience. And this is one way of thinking creatively, is we're thinking with a purpose, we're thinking with a passion. 2, helping to solve problems or problems that businesses come across. With technology being used more in the workforce, we have to be creative. And we have to be creative in the reasons why we need our jobs and they need us to fulfill those jobs. Because technology and AIs can simply take over our positions, especially in the workforce and in business. We can't simply think that our jobs will be secure just because they are here in the present. We need to think to the future. And this is where creativity comes in, is because if we are thinking in the future and we're thinking what the employers need, then we're gonna have a secure job. 2, competing against competition. Sometimes the person with the most creative solution to the problem is gonna get the job. So if you don't really think creatively and you don't think, well, what's one way to solve this problem? Maybe you should take some time to step back, brainstorm, and then come up with a solution, because those are the people that we need in the workforce, and those are the people that think creatively. So these are the characteristics of a creative person. And I know for a fact all of you guys have at least one of these characteristics within yourselves. Curious, seeks problems, enjoys challenges, optimistic, able to suspend judgment, and doesn't give up easily. Now, if you do have some non-weaknesses within one of these, then work on it. There's ways to work on it, and I will discuss this later on in the slideshow, but just make sure that you're working on your non-weaknesses, but also making sure, or working on your non-strengths, but also making sure that you're working on your strengths as well. Now, 3 ways to think outside the box. I know you guys have been waiting to hear this for this whole time. 1, question the status quo. The most pushback we get, whether from management, colleagues, or our own brains, comes from a simple phrase. That's how we've always done it. We're hardwired to resist change, especially when that's what we've been doing and it's been working okay. But asking, why have we always done it that way, can reveal flaws and make way for creative thinking. So this can help us to reveal things that we can do better instead of just going with the same routine. So question the status quo. 2, widen your perspective. Honestly, ask a child what they would do. It sounds silly, I know, but with their vivid imaginations, children are natural innovators, and you can learn something new, and this can help you with things that you didn't really know about either, because I saw a video one time of a child making one of those like little towers out of spaghetti and marshmallows, and they created the biggest tower out of everyone else, including engineers. And that really just goes to show you sometimes children are our future, or they actually are our future. And 3, exercise your brain. This is my favorite one because I love to play brain games, and they have plenty of them on the app stores, and you can download them, and it's just one way of thinking creatively, and it just makes you think outside the box. So sometimes you're going to face resistance, and this is going to be the negative attitudes that can block creativity, such as, oh no, a problem. It can't be done. I can't do it. I'm not creative, and I might fail. Don't let these thoughts stop you from achieving what you want, because these thoughts may pop into your mind, and they will when you're trying to think creatively, but just push back on that resistance. Now, thank you for listening to what I've had to say. I want to turn it back to the audience, and remember, don't think negatively when you're trying to think creatively, because through the creative process, you're going to find a solution that most other people wouldn't have thought of. So, any questions that you might have for me?
What's a way that you've solved a problem creatively before?
So normally I'm one person that has to take a step back and find a solution on my own. So one way that I've done it is just simply journaling, just thinking, sleeping sometimes helps, taking showers. Just also sometimes your creativity pops up when you least expect it. So if you can't think of a solution, stop really thinking about it and just go for a walk. Go exercise, do something that gets your mind off it, and then sometimes that's like when the most creative process happens, is when you're not trying to think of something.
I'm an early childhood education major, so what are some things that you might suggest that I can do to help instill creativity in my students?
Incorporate art into the classroom, also exercise, and make sure that your classroom is a friendly area. So that means it's judgment-free from everybody, including yourself and the other students, because sometimes when the other students feel judged, they just kind of go back into a corner. They don't think that they're good enough, and then that just kind of hinders their creative process. So make sure that you're making sure that your classroom is just a fun, free, carefree center. Thank you guys so much for coming out today, and I hope that this has inspired you to think more creatively. Have a nice night.